Hey guys, Mr. Perkins here, and Objective 2.02 is about legal issues. So let's jump right in and see what we can learn about legal issues inside of sports marketing. Our first term we need to be familiar with is intellectual property. And intellectual property is a person's thoughts or creations. So if you write a book, if you come up with an original music piece, that is your intellectual property. So how do you protect your intellectual property that you create? Well, we have what's called patents. And patents are granted for inventions or improvements to a product. So you have a patent issued to protect what you've created. All right? There are time limits on patents, so limited time only. Depends on what you create, depends on how long the patent is for. And why do they have patents? Well, the main two reasons, or main reason at all, that they have patents is to protect your profit maximization. So as a company, as an individual, you can make as much money as you possibly can from that new creative idea. All right, next slide. Our next slide talks about trademarks and service marks. Now, a trademark or service mark is a word, phrase, or symbol. And yes, I'm shooting this video live here at school, you can tell. Word, phrase, or symbol that identifies a company from others. So for example, McDonald's and the Golden Arches. Okay, now it doesn't look very good, but oh well, it's a good example. McDonald's Golden Arches is their trademark. And just for these Golden Arches alone, when you open up a McDonald's, you're going to pay right around $45,000 just for the Golden Arches. Key point, trademarks and service marks are granted legal protection through the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. So if you want to get a patent, if you want to get a trademark, this is where you have to go to get that information and to start the process. U.S. Patent and Trademark Office. So what is a copyright? A copyright is your sole right to produce or publish, whatever that may be. So if you have a literary work, such as a novel, or an artistic work like a painting, or maybe you're doing a television broadcast.
Victor Perez.
Again, guys, I'm doing this live here at school, so forgive me on the announcements there. If you're doing a television broadcast, that's also can be copyrighted, or any original music can be copyrighted. And if you do a film, you can also copyright that. All right? So that's just a few examples of what you can and cannot copyright. All right, next slide. Collective marks. Collective marks are symbols used for a group or organization. So for example, the NFL logo with the stars and stripes in it, that is the symbol for the NFL. That's the symbol for the entire organization. Okay? So this is a collective mark. All right? Again, the shield, the NFL shield with the stars and stripes logo, that is a collective mark. And there's other examples of that too. You know, NHL, NBA. NBA has the player bouncing the ball. That's their collective mark for every team in that organization. Trademark infringement. Trademark infringement is using a trademark without permission. So if I have a trademark and you use it without asking my permission, you're infringing on my trademark and you're infringing on my rights also. So you don't want to do trademark infringement unless you have permission from that person to use that trademark. Don't do it. How does infringement hurt teams? Well, or how does it hurt a company? Number one, that have a potential loss of revenue. So if you're using my trademark without my permission, you could be hurting me and the profits that I'm making for my business. And number two, could result in higher prices. So I may have to start charging people more because you're infringing on what I've already created. Next slide. All right, here's a few things you need to be familiar with inside the legal process and some of the things that have been passed legislatively in our government and in our legal system. So Title IX is the first one. And these are Roman numerals here. I also put the number 9 so you can understand what I'm talking about here. So Title IX is a federal law that requires universities to provide equal opportunities for men and women. So men and women both have to have the same opportunity when they go to college, whether it's sports or academics. Also, you have the Americans with Disabilities Act, also known as ADA. The Americans with Disabilities Act says all public facilities must be reasonably handicap accessible. So every building has to have a way for someone that's in a wheelchair to access that building. That's the law. It's not optional, that's the law. Occupational Safety and Health Administration is also a big entity, a big group in our government, also called OSHA, O-S-H-A. OSHA sets standards to protect employees from being injured on the job. So they set the standards for safety inside the workplace. Next slide. Next slide talks about the Sherman Antitrust Act. Sherman Antitrust Act is a federal law to protect industries from having one competitor that discourages competition within an industry. So here's a key point. The only entity out there that does not apply, okay, that is not affected by the Sherman Antitrust Act is Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball is the only branch that is exempt from the Sherman Antitrust Act, and you do need to know that. Lanham Trademark Act. The Lanham Trademark Act is a federal law that prohibits trademark infringement and false advertising. And the Lanham Trademark Act was passed on July the 5th, 1946. Okay? So again, if you need to watch this video again, watch it again. If you need to pause as you take your notes, do that. But this is all the information that you need for Objective 2.02, legal issues inside of sports marketing. Thanks for watching the video. Bye.